I want to know what your first car was, because
It was a yellow 1972. I got that car at 90 miles an hour. I'll tell you how I did it. Then there's a hairpin turn at the bottom, and
I mean, it's Coachin N Cars, man.
A lot of limiting beliefs out there, thinking, how in the world am I going to accomplish something like that?
Not dissimilar to anybody.
The greatest risk we were afraid of that did not come to fruition is...
If I started a new business tomorrow, the first thing I would do is hire a coach.
back to Coachin N Cars. Longtime good friend Chace Campbell on the podcast today, and I'm super excited about this. I don't know why it took me so long to say, hey, we need to do this, but Chris Myros episode, I get a text message from you that says, hey, can I use what you guys said on our website? And I'm like, dude, I don't know why I didn't ask you to do this sooner, but here you are.
But here I am.
Which is great.
But you know, Chris is always the pathfinder for
I know,
us.
all paths lead through Chris. I had Robert Sullivan on here recently, and he's like, yeah, you know, Chris, and it's like, man, all paths go through him.
All the paths go through Chris. It's kind of like the old joke about the guy who, you know, do you know the Pope? No, but I know the guy standing right behind him. That's Chris.
Exactly, yeah. Well, I'll let you introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Well, it's kind of weird introducing myself to you, frankly, because, you know, we've known each other for so long. But for the record, I guess, I'm Chace Campbell, and I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a lawyer. Spent 20 years doing litigation and been practicing law 28 years. Kind of went full circle back to estate planning. I've been doing estate planning for so long, but never got really out of estate planning, but back into it full time now.
Yeah, and you own Chace Law.
I own Chace Law.
Your name's on the building.
So I guess I got to toss in there a business owner too.
Yeah. So you own Chace Law. You guys specialize in basically estate planning and everything surrounding estate planning. And I like to throw in there, like, you guys have this razor's edge of a niche that not really anybody else does here, not at the level that y'all do. So I think
estate planning for business owners.
Yeah, it's a razor's edge lane that you're in, but a profitable one, and you've been able to build an awesome business off of it, which I think is super cool. But if we rewind the clock back and we say, what made you get out of, I mean, you were doing litigation for a while. Yes. What made you get out of doing that and say, I'm going to take this path less traveled and build a business around it?
Well, I was actually doing estate planning for business owners while I was still doing the litigation. I just realized that weirdly, my court schedule was impeding the rest of my business. Yeah. So I said, okay, if I'm going to do this and I'm going to jump into it full with both feet, then you know, I've got to cut out the litigation. And at first I thought, okay, can I get my litigation down to, you know, less than half my practice? No, you know, the trial schedule just kept impeding, and finally I just said, all right, no litigation. And my staff looked at me and said, are you crazy? What are we going to do? So I said, trust me, we will have plenty to do. And you know, we've been out of litigation now, you know, half dozen years, and my staff looks at me and goes, well, how could we have ever fit litigation into this?
Yeah.
So,
and you have to hire people because you have you know, work to do, and I just think it's very interesting to me. You basically took, I always say, in the lawyer lane or the law firm lane, there's kind of two different lanes, and one of them is what I would call the traditional path of, you know, build a team of lawyers. We kind of cover 3 or 4 different areas. We do litigation, and we kind of just operate as a team of lawyers. And then there's like the business path, which is, I would say, less traveled, but where you build a business around a thing, and you just kind of happen to be lawyers that do that thing, right?
Yes.
And you've kind of taken that path, which I think is, number one, super unique, but also for me and what I do is obviously very interesting because not a lot of people take that path. So what made you say one day, I'm going to take this path of building a really good business around a thing that we're really good at?
Most law firms are kind of this mosaic of, all right, I do this, you do that, it kind of fits together, so let's join forces. Or I do this, you do that, even though they don't work necessarily integratedly. We can split costs and we can share overhead and things like that. And the problem with that business model is it kind of evolves and takes on a life of its own of, all right, if you and I are business partners, law partners, and something happens to you, then, well, either we find someone who was doing what Ren did, or we go off in another direction. And I said, no, if we're going to do something and we're going to do it well, then let's just go with the business model of here's what we're going to do. And frankly, I found that it's a whole lot better because when we're thinking about bringing someone on, whether it's an attorney or support staff, we basically say, all right, here's what we do, and here's why we do it. And if they don't get that gleam in their eyes, like, I totally get this, and this is what I want to be part of, then we kind of go, well, thank you very much for coming in, and we'll be back in contact, because it is a wonderful way of weeding out people.
I remember you telling me the story of AJ.
Oh, yeah.
When AJ came on and she read what you did and she was like, yes. I love this. We have to do this.
Oh, no, she was like, yes, I'm joining you.
And she was already doing something similar, ahead of time, but she just felt so strongly about the mission that she was all in.
Well, she felt strongly about the mission because she had lived it with her mother. And so she's like, where were you 2 years ago? And I'm like, AJ, I've been here. She goes, no, I didn't even think about calling you. When I was in the middle of the weeds, I didn't know which way was up, much less, being able to pick up the phone and say, hey, can I come chat with you?
So what you do for people, the service in which you, so I think a couple things. Number one, you touched on the lawyer. It's very transactional. What you do is not transactional. There's a lifelong journey, pun intended.
Yes.
There's a lifelong journey to what you do and your interaction with your clients. It's not the, let me go to court, let me solve this for you, and we'll never see each other again kind of transaction, which there's a lot of that. But number two, what you do is so intimate with your clients that we're literally talking about what happens when you pass away or when your spouse passes away. It's such an emotional thing that you and your team do such a great job of bridging the gap between logic and emotion in a very emotional situation. So how do you find people in your space, the lawyer space, who are normally very high fact finders, that can bridge the gap between the emotion and the fact finder piece of it?
The practice of law just attracts so many different types of people. And so I sat down and I said, all right, what are we trying to do? Okay, what kind of person do we need who can meet all of these? And you're right about the high fact finder lawyer. Those are the ones that we realize do not do well on this. And we need someone who's one part therapist, one part priest, one part lawyer, and you kind of have to have that weird meld of, all right, talk to me, no judgment, we need to talk it out, the things that people share with us, need to share with us, sometimes don't need to share with us, but they feel like they just need to get off their chest, is just astounding. And but what we found is there's usually a reason why they're sharing that, and it may not be obvious at the first, but it really is important, and because it's important to them, it really tends to be important.
Yep.
And so it takes a very unique person to be able to bridge that gap, because you got to be listening for, okay, hold on, well, you just told me about your family dynamics in just an offhanded comment. This may not be the good strategy. We may need to go this way instead.
Yeah.
And you talked about how intimate it is. It really is, because you have to talk out a lot of things. And sometimes what we think are the strategy based upon, that passing thought, once we talk it out with them, we realize, nope, it's not what the client thought it was going to be. No, it's not what we thought that it was going to be at the beginning. It's something totally different from that.
Yeah.
And so you got to kind of open it and go with an open mind with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say, like, you have a very easy way of explaining things that are very complicated, and I love business owners and businesses and people in certain professional areas that can, financial advising is another one. Yep. Like, it's a very complicated situation, but there are people that can explain it in a really easy way to people. And when I sat down with you, obviously you asked a lot of like invasive in a good way, invasive questions, but we peeled back the onion. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yes. There's layers to the cake, right? I always think of Shrek when people talk about the onion. He's like, onions have layers. Yeah, like, cakes have layers. Onions have layers. But yeah, I think you have a really easy way to explain the complicated things. Like, hey, it's very simple. It either goes here, here, or here. Where do you want it to go? Instead of giving me a bunch of legal jargon and all of that. Like, it's your system is very, very good into explaining what people are actually getting from you.
Well, what it is we're really just talking about life. And most of the time people come in thinking it's this woo-woo, I don't understand it, it's legal. But when we start kind of unpacking it and they go, okay, wait a minute, I understand this. We're just talking about life. Yes, you totally you know more than you realize that you know. You may not know necessarily all of the technical things that we need to structure around it, but parents, spouses, we know, we really know what it is. Yeah. And so I like to say, just don't talk to me in legal jargon. Just talk to me as one person to another and tell me what it is that you're thinking.
Yep.
And then we just go from there.
Yeah. So you told me a very interesting statistic when we first started talking together, and that was about businesses specifically in probate. So I can never remember the number, but it's very, very high. Businesses that go to probate, what percentage of those fail? It's a killer. But
it's 70%.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, 7 out of 10.
Yeah, over 70% typically, right?
Yeah. So to put it another way, you only have a 3 in 10% or 3 in 10 chance of actually surviving probate process.
Yeah, I don't like my odds. There's a reason that I don't go gamble.
Yes.
Those are not good odds.
Those are not good odds.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good odds if you want to short it.
Yeah, 50-50 is even not good enough odds for me to play. So, so I'm just curious from your perspective, if you were to boil down, what are the reasons why that's a killer for businesses that people maybe aren't thinking about right now? Maybe not necessarily a real life example, but just something where it's like, hey, these are things that you're probably not thinking about that would actually kill your business if you passed away and it went to probate. What are those things?
It's really simple. At first, we were scratching our heads going, why is the failure rate so high? And I had a discussion with our probate judge, and she was astounded to find that it was that high. She's like, no, we pass businesses through probate all the time. They're fine. They're on, and I see the aftermath of it. Kind of post. It may not be dead when they're coming out of probate, but 6 months later, it's cratered. And what I realized is the uncertainty of it. you got employees that are going, wait a minute, what's going to happen? You've got, are we going to be liquidated? Are we going to be an ongoing surviving concern? You've got the customers who are like, okay, wait a minute. There was no plan. You're thrown into probate. Why do we want to continue doing business with you? You've got the employees themselves that are going, okay, who's going to end up owning the business? And what do they even know about the business? And, wait a minute, do I want to really go through that 8-month, 12-month, 15-month, 3-year process? No, I'm out of here. So you've got that whole uncertainty factor. Or second dynamic that we saw that was the absolute killer is you and I go into business together. Great. You get along, I get along. But if you pass away and there's no succession plan in place and Annie ends up owning it, love Annie to death. She's great. But I've never been in business with her before.
Yeah.
And, there's the uncertainty factor again.
Yeah.
And so,
That's like Chris wrote it on a napkin, basically. Like Chris had this agreement with his dad that you found a way. I mean, he told the story on the podcast, so I'm not uncomfortable sharing it. But basically, there was like this kind of haphazardly written statement from him and his dad that they wrote early on. And that's what held up in court at the end of the day and kept them pretty safe. I mean, safer than they would have been had they not done that.
And Chris realizes that, if it had gone through the probate process, that uncertainty factor maybe not killed his business, but would have severely damaged it. I mean, he realized, he mentioned it, so I'm not afraid to mention it, but it was a game changer.
Yeah.
And it was how they had titled it that made all the difference in the world. And they had done an out-of-the-box titling on it, but they titled it properly for purposes of probate avoidance.
Yeah.
So there it is.
Yeah, I just think it's one of those things where, I look at what you and I do as we're so in step, because one of the biggest reasons that those businesses fail, like you said, is the uncertainty piece. And there's 2 ways to attack that. Number 1 is the legal way of who owns what, where are we going, and what's that look like. The other way is if you're a business owner and you're alive right now and you don't have a succession plan of who's going to take over when you pass away, and you're not doing the things now inside of your business to get your business structured that way, that's failure point number 1.
Yep.
And then if you pass away and you don't have it documented and you don't have a plan in place and it's not documented properly, that's failure point number 2. And if any one of those 2 fails, it's over.
It's game over. Yeah.
Right? So it's like, I do the before death, you do the protect us for death kind of thing, and you got to be structured on all levels.
Not even before, not even just after death. One of the 2 partners ends up in the hospital. He's the one who's writing the checks.
Yeah.
All right, what's the game plan? What's the backup? You've got one of 3 choices.
Yep.
You're either going to retire, die, or go insane. Which one are you going to plan for?
Yeah, we call it dead man walking,
Yes.
where you're just dead inside and you're just operating, and that's about all you can do. That's funny. So I do want to switch gears really quick.
No pun intended, right?
Yeah, pun intended.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to know what your first car was, because from a lawyer standpoint, I'm thinking like a Lincoln or a Caddy or something like that. But I have a feeling you have something that's super off the wall. So what was it?
It was a yellow 1972 Volkswagen Super Beetle.
Oh, that's awesome. That fits your personality a little bit.
Oh, it totally fits my personality.
With the boat, you wear a bow tie and those types of things.
Birkenstocks.
Yeah, man, that's straight up your alley. So what would you say, like when you think back to that car, there's always one memory that sticks out about a vehicle. What was that memory with that car?
I got that car at 90 miles an hour.
Dude.
Yes.
Those thin little tires that had to be it's like pizza cutters.
Oh, yeah, totally. And remember, it was an air-cooled 4-banger engine, only 4 gears. And I'll tell you how I did it. I was coming over Stevens Pass in Washington.
Okay.
And the front side of Stevens Pass, so the side that faces west, there is a very steep hill. And I realized that if I put it in neutral, I could go faster than if I had it in gear.
And no resistance.
I shifted it to neutral, and it's a fairly long stretch, and we got to 90 miles an hour, and then there's a hairpin turn at the bottom, and I had to quickly downshift the thing so that I could take the hairpin turn.
Oh man, don't worry, everybody in the vehicle's estates were all in order. Everybody had a plan. We were good to go on that.
We were
piece of it.
teenagers.
So when it happened, it was not that big of a deal. We were covered, right? That was the first moment you realized estate planning was important.
No, that was the first moment I realized I'm really stupid sometimes.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh man, yeah, man. The Super Beetle, man. There's not a lot of them left.
No, there aren't.
You know, when I drive around, I see some classic cars here and there, but it's pretty rare that I see an old bug.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually really rare, especially where we live. I feel like I saw them a lot when I lived in Nebraska, but here, I don't know. It's like
salt water.
Okay.
The salt air, you know, even though we're, 4 hours from the coast, you get enough salt air. And the problem is those cars were built to be such a light car that you can, the rust factor. So
I see. Yeah. We're 4 hours from the coast, but that's because of Charleston. We're really like 2.5 hours from the coast. If you take Charleston out of it, their traffic is terrible. But so
in fact, I had to get rid of it because the floorboards had rusted through,
really?
and I could actually see pavement underneath my feet.
I mean, less weight.
Yep, less weight.
You
but
probably got 92 now with it.
That was a fun car. I really enjoyed it.
Those are those moments where you're like, man, if I could have it back, what memories would come to mind when you sit in that seat?
Well, I'll tell you that I ended up selling it and getting a '66 Corvair.
Oh, sweet!
Yes,
and it didn't burn down.
It did not burn down.
That's awesome.
It was an awesome car, and it was a ragtop.
Oh, those are rare.
Yes, so it was. It went from one version of a simple car to another version of a simple car.
Both kind of rare. I mean, a Corvair, I can't remember if it was a 2 or 3 year run. They had a short run on those because they had some
rough
issues. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the campaign unsafe at any speed.
That's right. Oh, man, that's hilarious. So when you think about businesses in Greenville, you know, obviously there's a lot of them that could use your service. And I throw your name out. I told you on the phone I threw your name out probably more than I should because it's almost annoying at some point when I tell people about it. But I also look at it and I'm like, Chace has built a really, really good business. And, you know, your wife, Michelle, she went through a health journey at one point where you were able to step out of your business and the business continued to grow.
Yeah.
So if you had any advice to a business in Greenville right now, when you look at it, what advice would you give to somebody who's either wanting to start a business or currently has a business and they're feeling like, I don't know if I'm doing all the right things right now? What advice would you give them? Because you deal with businesses all day, every day.
Stephen Covey once said, begin with the end in mind. Mm-hmm. And I have realized that is true when you're going to start a business or, frankly, a number of touch points along the way. You need to stop and go, all right, what is the end plan? What's the end game?
Yeah.
And if you can't answer that question, you really need to stop everything and work on figuring that out. Because once you figure out that, then that gives you guidance backwards of what is it today that you should be doing. And so I'll have people all the time come in and say, all right, I'm going to start a business. Okay. What kind of entity do I need? Do I need a C corporation? Do I need an S corporation? Do I need an LLC? Do I need, a true corporation? Do I need... And I can't just go, okay, what's the end game? Because they're like, that's not the question I've asked you. But so I've learned to take the time to kind of back them into that question.
Yeah.
And what I found is, especially if they're starting a business, if they haven't thought through that question, they're not ready to start the business. Because that is such a game changer of everything that you're about to do.
Yeah.
That now it's going to change over time. In fact, in a healthy business, you go back and you go, all right, this was the game plan then, but things have changed. Now this is the new game plan. All right, what are the changes that we need to do? And if you don't do that, then you're, again, not really ready to stay in that business.
Yeah, I mean, not intentionally trying to interweave it in what I do, but we reset goals every year at an annual because things do change all the time. Things change. And when they do, we have to be prepared and we got to pivot because what we had to execute on yesterday isn't necessarily what we need to execute on today or tomorrow because now the goal has changed. And I think
it changes about every 3 years.
Yeah, and I think it's super important. And that's why we look at a 3-year picture, right? So it's like we take a 3-year picture, we boil it down to a 1, and then we say, okay, what needs to happen in the next 90 days, which is straight execution, right? So it's like we got to keep looking at what's 1 to 3 years out to understand how do we reverse engineer it to get to what do I need to do tomorrow.
Right.
And that's what your employees want too. They want to know how what they do plays into it, right?
Well, not only do they want to know what they're doing plays into it, but they want to know where is it that we're going, because they've got a vested interest just as much as you do.
Totally.
All right, is what I'm doing in line with where we're going, or am I spinning my wheels, or worse yet, am I counterproductive?
Yeah.
Am I working in cross purposes to the person next to me without realizing it?
Yeah.
And frankly, it's the employees that are the ones who come up with the better ideas because they're in the trenches going, all right, I'm doing this, but this is where you said that we're going. We need to make this change. And it's usually the atomic changes.
Yeah.
That one day we were sitting down and Michelle goes, guys, I added up all of the changes that we've done, and she had some time period, I can't remember what it was. She goes, we are saving ourselves $16,000 a month from changes that we're no longer having expenses on.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
I know. So she actually quantified it.
I love it. I love it.
You know, I think if we went back and redid it, it would probably be $30,000 at this point.
That's crazy. Well, dude, this was great.
Did they cut off?
Yeah, that one did. Okay. But we're good. We still have, that's why we got 2 cameras, right?
Exactly. So you're safe.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, this was great. I obviously love hanging out with you. It's always so much fun, but this was a long time coming, so I appreciate it. And we could probably spend 5 podcasts together.
You let me know when you want to get another topic. We'll just do it.
Sounds good. Awesome. Well, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.